What is up, everyone? It is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. And so today's video is super exciting because we are going to be talking about activities section advice. So if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Rachel. I graduated from UC Berkeley in the class of 2020, where I double majored in cognitive science and legal studies. And now, post-grad, I'm currently working full-time at a law firm, and this past admission cycle, I was an external undergraduate admissions reader with UC Berkeley. So if you're a student applying to colleges soon, you should definitely check out Study Hall College Consulting. It's a team of myself and other UC Berkeley grads where we specialize in reviewing college application essays as well as consulting one-on-one with students and parents. So if you're looking for activities section advice, we actually offer an activities section review service. So without further ado, let's hop into this video. So let's jump into some background information for the activities section, the UC application portal, as well as the common application portal. So for the UC application activities section, these activities are split into different headers, where under each header you can list up to 5 activities. You have 160 characters to describe each activity. You mark down what grades you participated in this activity in, and you also note how many hours per week and how many weeks per year you are participating in this activity. So the different headers on the UC app, they have coursework other than A through G, educational preparation programs, community service, work experience, awards and honors, and extracurricular activities. So then for the common application, it is similar, but unlike the UC app, for the common app, they don't split their activities section into those different categories, but you can include anything you want: arts, sports, clubs, employment, personal commitments, basically anything outside of the classroom that you're doing would fall into the activities section. And then for the common application, you only have 10 spaces to list your activities, and you don't need to enter all 10 on the Common App website. It says on average students enter 6 activities, so you don't need to fill the entire space up. And with the average of 6, some people go over, some people go under, so there is no pressure to fill every space if you don't have that many activities. And then the Common App has some more rules about how much space you have to write all of this. For the position leadership description, you have 50 characters. For the organization name, you have 100 characters. And then for the main description, you're describing the activities, honors 1, activity details, accomplishments, you have 150 characters. And then similarly, you are going to share the number of hours per week you do this, the weeks per year you do this, how long you've been participating in this activity for, and then if you want to continue a similar activity at college. So the UC activities section and Common App activities section have some similarities and differences, but I would say the main thing is how short the description section is. For the activity section, you have 150 or 160 characters. That is not a lot of space, so you have to use it very wisely. So my biggest tip for the activity section would be to spend time on this section. I feel like a lot of students spend time on their essays where they leave this activity section until a couple nights before the deadline. Right before they're submitting, they're quickly typing in all of this information. But similar to the essays that you're writing, you should spend time on the activity section, carve out some time, because the activity section is so important. Like the essays, the activity section can also help to demonstrate to the admissions readers who you are as a person, what activities you've been involved involved in throughout high school, what you're passionate about through your involvement in these activities. It is such a great way to help you differentiate yourself from everyone else applying. I would also recommend drafting your activity section titles and descriptions on a separate document, so maybe like on a Google Doc. You don't necessarily want to type directly into your application, even though you can save it. I feel like drafting all of your materials on a separate document is helpful because then you can edit your descriptions easier, have other people review them and make edits and comments rather than just typing them directly into the application. And if you're doing that, when it is time to copy and paste what you have from your document to the actual application, make sure you're copying and pasting correctly, because when I was an admissions reader, you see people make mistakes when they're copying and pasting. People are copying the same UC PIQ multiple times, so 2 essays are exactly the same by accident. That is not good because so many people are applying. They are not going to track you down to have you submit the correct essay or have you type in the correct activity. Additionally, from that background information section I just talked about, you can see you don't have a lot of activity space to use. 10 activities for the Common App, 5 activities under each header for the UC app. So you sort of need to be choosy in what you are going to select to put on your activity section. You know, some activities might be more important, so you are for sure going to include those, and then some activities might be a little bit less important to your overall story. So if you don't have the space, that would be something that you would choose to not include. For example, maybe you volunteered for some kind of cultural night or fair at your high school where this volunteering was only for 1 week and it was only for 2 hours. That might be something you don't include on your activity section because it was only something that was 1 week. You weren't spending 2 hours in this activity for 30 weeks out of the year, but when you are inputting all of this information, you're inputting the hours per week and weeks per year. Something you only did once would be less impactful than something maybe you did all 4 years of high school that you put lots of time into. Similarly, for volunteering activities like that, maybe you're doing volunteering to get hours for like your National Honor Society or something like that. Then maybe instead of listing every single volunteering activity, you list National Honor Society as your main activity, and then you can list certain volunteering experiences underneath the NHS header. Because you don't have a lot of space, you have to be choosy. You might have to combine certain things on your activity section because space is so limited. Similarly, for awards like the honor roll, maybe that's something you don't include because so many students are listing, oh, straight A's, President's Honor Roll, Gold Honor Roll on their application. So if you don't have the space, maybe that's something you choose to leave off because it is a common award that students are getting. And similarly with like honor roll awards, things like perfect attendance awards, maybe that's something you leave off because it is so common. And finally, this might seem like common sense, but make sure you do not skip the activities section. When I was an external admissions reader, there was a handful of applications where students would just for some reason leave the entire activity section blank, whether it is on accident or on purpose, which makes it really difficult as a reader because you miss all of that information that the student could have shared, and then in their essays they actually talk about activities that they were involved in, but their activities section is completely blank. So similar to being careful with copying and pasting, make sure you are careful and you don't skip the entire section. And then my other main tip for the activity section is to use strong action verbs when you are drafting these descriptions. For example, say you are volunteering at your high school and then in the activity section description you say, I organized a food drive. That is very, very vague. It doesn't really tell me much about what you did, what was your role, how did you make an impact in this activity, but instead be more specific, use some more action verbs, and instead you could could say something like collected X number of cans and donated items to Y families in town. In the activities section, you really want to emphasize tangible, measurable impact. So if there are places that you can quantify your activity, like saying the number of families you helped, saying the number of cans, how many people were affected or impacted by this activity, that helps to share a lot more than just saying the basic organized a food drive. Similarly, you want to emphasize selectivity in your activities. If it's like an award, you want to say, oh, I am one of 20 students selected. Writing that in your description helps to share how selective the activity or the award was compared to saying just selected. Oh, how many other people applied? How many other people were selected? It helps to give more information behind these activities because there are so many different kinds of activities, awards across the world that the admissions readers aren't going to be familiar with every single one, every single thing. So you really have to spell it out if you want to get your point across. And with using strong action verbs, this is very similar to how people would draft their regular resume when applying to jobs and internships, and similar to resume building with your activities section and these strong action verbs, you don't want to be too repetitive with the verbs that you're using, so don't just say led, but try to change out some of the verbs and maybe do like mentor or teach as a verb instead of just saying the same verb over and over again throughout your activities list. And then I'll link in the description below, there is a Harvard action verb list that is very, very good to use. It has a ton of different kinds of verbs that you can use for all different kinds of activities for your resume, for the activities section. So highly recommend checking that out because just using a thesaurus might make your words not make sense and make them a little bit wacky in your descriptions. So finally, some questions to think about when you're drafting your activities section. Hopefully these are helpful when you are trying to think about, okay, how can I write a description in 150, 160 characters? It is not a lot of space, so try to focus on the main points here. So some questions you could think about: what did you do on the day-to-day basis? What problems did you solve? Did you learn any lessons, values, or skills? What impact did you have on your school, community, or world? How does this relate to school, life, college, and beyond? So obviously with the character limits, you won't hit all of those points, but hopefully that can be a good starting point of how you can draft your activities descriptions if you are a little bit stumped right now, not sure where to start. So yeah, that is some advice when filling out your activities section. If you have any questions, definitely leave a comment down below. If you had any other videos that you want to see, also leave a comment below. So if you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck drafting your activities section, and I will see you all next time.